This, the first handout here talks about Physicians AIDS Brigade. That's about goodness. AIDS is a terrible thing. In sub-Saharan Africa, there's tons and tons of AIDS. Women, it's a different virus. It's HIV-2. It's more easily transmitted sexually. That virus will be in the States soon, but most of you have HIV-1, which is not so easily transmitted sexually. HIV-2, it doesn't have, it's here so tightly to tissue, so it's spread more easily. But a lot of babies in Africa have AIDS. They used to think that it took a whole regime of AZT, a whole regime, a week of 2 drugs to prepare a mother before birth to help prevent the baby from getting HIV. Now they have a drug called Navarapine. 1 dose to the mother and an oral dose to the baby reduces the HIV transmission rate by 66%. 2 doses, 1 to the mother, 1 to the baby. But it's not getting there. It's not getting there. And so that's what the Physicians AIDS Brigade was concerned about was started. Now, we need help. The AIDS Brigade was started from students, started from high school dropouts, started from people I met in jail. I don't think I can handle so I can go through it. But I'm going to talk about a national emergency. I'm going to give you information about a national emergency that could help change the war on drugs, could help flip the way we fight, not fight, but it could really make a big difference. That's going to be, it's part of a lawsuit now. So people can write papers on it, they can cite it. The information is there about this, it's crack heroin. On the East Coast of America, all there is crack heroin. And maybe people are skeptical or whatever, but it's in that thick appendix there. It's in the second handout, the thicker one. That's part of a lawsuit. It explains crack heroin. It also explains MKUltra. Senator Kennedy was a victim of CONTELPRO. It was an FBI CIA program. But we protested at his office because he held the hearings in MKUltra. We wanted information. We had like 50 victims, people in wheelchairs, crutches, go to Senator Kennedy's office. Then we said, okay, forget MKUltra. Let's talk about something more important. Let's talk about crack heroin. Jon Tucker, he died from crack heroin. He's a Vietnam veteran with AIDS. We brought him to Vietnam. He went to Hanoi, met the Ministry of Health. We had a World Health Organization official there. Now Vietnam is lauded for the needle exchange programs, and they got some of the money from that Bush gave money to Africa, he also gave Haiti, and they gave Vietnam money to help with the needle exchange. But so this my talk here is a little bit blessed by finding his name on one of the boxes. The box out there says Tommy Tucker, he has a star. We don't get any funding, outside funding. We're all volunteers. We get our money from the public. But it started because of needing goodness. I thought every day you had to hate. Just like going to school, you had to suffer in prison to school. I thought going to work, that's what life was. You had to pay the price. You had to suffer Monday through Friday, and on the weekends you could relax. I went to a drug program, I became a counselor, I was helping people. I said, if I could ever get a job where I enjoyed it, like helping people, I wouldn't have to have that mindset that I'm in prison every day, you have to suffer, and then you have a good time on the weekends. And so I became a counselor at the drug program. And from there, I got my GED, I applied to Washington State College, and I ended up Hampshire College. I wish I had no grades. It was good for me. I got those other guys to come to Hampshire. And then from there we started the AIDS Brigade. I said, Kenny, why don't we just talk about something more up to date, like this crack heroin epidemic. It's a national emergency, there's nothing else on the East Coast. And he responded with letters. As soon as they met with the DEA, they wouldn't talk with us anymore. But this appendix has the exact chemical. They say that morphine can't change. They say that you can't change heroin to make a different heroin. There's no such thing as this crack heroin. It's crazy. It's the increase in purity that's killing people. The heroin is more pure. Well, crack heroin they take the heroin. The Colombians and the Dominicans control the East Coast. The Mexicans have the western part of the United States. So right down the middle. Colombians smuggle the drugs in. They soak clothing in solution, heroin. They smuggle the clothing in the United States, they re-soak it here, but before they dry that solution, they add something with amino groups. Procaine, lidocaine, they use caffeine, cocaine, they use scopolamine, I don't know if it has amino group. They put it in the solution, they cook it, they process it, they dry it in tubes. They cut out a piece of the tube, looks like a piece of chalk, it's 10 grams, they call it a finger. So they're selling stuff now in Boston, not even bags, you can buy heroin in fingers or rocks. In New York and New Haven, those cities are still bagging it, stamping it. But here they're more cutthroat. I mean, the stuff is cheapest in Boston too. It's all crack heroin. Now, we did analysis from Maine to Florida. The only states that didn't show crack heroin, the chemists said that you could write a thesis on those samples. Because we only asked them to look for 4 things. But they did spectrometry and they saw all the peaks. The reason why once crack heroin gets to a city, it pushes traditional heroin out because the addicts demand it. It cuts through methanol. Methanol is the mainstay of drug treatment in this country. If you show that methanol is ineffective, what are you left with? There'd be a big scramble. This came out in the Reagan years. In 1978, crack heroin first came out and went to New Jersey and Connecticut right away. It's been there, and say the last 10 years it's been up. There's always people who go to New York to buy heroin. But now it's all you can get in the East Coast, from Maine to Florida. It's all crack heroin. So I was arrested 6 times in purpose in heroin in New York City. They dismissed every case. Arrested once in New Haven, mandatory 2 years of school zone, dismissed. Got arrested in Boston, they dismissed. I got to submit some of the stuff for court, which helped me compile some of the stuff. But they don't want to confront it. They don't want to face this epidemic. So after you brought the stuff to the police station in Boston, I'll look here. It says MD, so Section 1 MD, M with the D. It's an article. And that article, it shows the police that had narcotics in Boston saying, oh, they've been mixing crack lidocaine with heroin for 25 years. Which is true. 25 years from that date was 1978. Well, if they've been mixing lidocaine with crack heroin for 25 years, how come there isn't one single arrest where they've seized lidocaine and heroin together? How come they have never shut down one of these laboratories, ever? Can you find in Google, whatever you search, can you find heroin and lidocaine and cocaine arrested together? Because it's being allowed by the government. So you can say, what? So in here there's a New York Times article, and then in the article, New York Times, is IJ. 2 drug agents tried to seize $500,000 from drug dealers given to the President of the Dominican Republic in New York. The DEA stopped them. They stopped the cops from trying to grab the money. The DEA and the CIA stopped them, and these guys sued the government. In their lawsuit they state, which is circled in that IJ, that the United States government is allowing a drug gang to deal drugs illegally in the East Coast. That's exactly right. They got $1.5 million. This is such a big thing. The government now, crack heroin gives you a quicker habit, a stronger habit, more needle sharing, more AIDS, more babies with AIDS. So we let it Senator Kennedy and said, well, 50% and 7% of the addicts are black with AIDS, but only 30% of the population is black. I forgot to say about 30% of addicts with AIDS are brown. But now it's killing whites. So it started out with 7 8 during Reagan. It became too much of an embarrassment. And now it's too big of a deal. The New York Times reporter Joe Trista came to New York with us with guys from New Haven. He said it's too big. This is a national emergency, but if it's exposed, it will force them to demand more effective treatment and education. But what do we have? It cuts through methadone, cuts through buprenorphine, we have abstinence, and we have a drug called AIDS Brigade. Take it once. It takes out the drug receptors. It sort of gives you things. It's illegal, but it would be something that should be looked at often. I know people got clean. I asked them how they got clean. They said AIDS Brigade. And they asked me how I got clean. I said it was a drug program. I learned to cry and learned how to feel. I sit down in front of City Hospital. There were 26 babies, black babies with AIDS, 1 white baby. So we had signs: 26 black, 1 white. I don't know if they were mixed. I don't even think of the brown babies then, but that's what we protested against. While I was at Yale, a professor came in and he said, don't ever try to educate the addicts about whatever. This was before the gay community showed they can make changes. It was about sharing needles. Don't try to educate the addicts, they don't care. They'll never change behavior. It was from that anger. This was I was started medical school in 1980. In 1983, we started the nation's first IV drug user AIDS prevention outreach, going out and talking to addicts. When I was an addict, whoever was shot up first would get a cup of water from Nicholas. At the end of the day, that water would be bright red. But we all use the same water because there was no running water. So addicts didn't know about not sharing a needle, but they didn't know about the dangers of sharing water. So my friends, here I am in school clean, but my friends are still out there using, so that's what sort of started this. In 1985, we started the New Haven and the Boston AIDS Brigade. In 1985, they became the National AIDS Brigade. In 1986, we started the first needle exchange program in the country. Amsterdam started the first one in the world in 1984, but it was for hepatitis. So this is the AIDS Brigade, high school dropouts, starting something positive. Because we weren't into it for money. I mean, wisdom is more valuable than wealth, right? You got to use goodness.